Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we have our January recap podcast. Yes, recap podcasts are back in 2026. So today y'all hear from Dave from Signal Snowboards, Sabine and Arne from Edenbridge, Dave Grossman from New Miserable Experience, Yuri from Textures, Mike Gitter from Black to Black Records, Joe Nally from Urne, Nils and John from the Hirsch Effekt, and Manuel from Mirage. If you missed any of these episodes, I hope you enjoy the peek and the interview snippets you hear in this episode, and go check out the full interviews. A lot of really cool stuff this month. We have so many cool things coming this year. I'm so stoked for all the interviews that have been recorded, all the interviews that have come out, and all the stuff that is being scheduled. Just so many cool things on the horizon. I can't wait for you guys to hear them all. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our Discord server, our mailing list on Substack, and our Patreon page, where $1 a month will get you early access to every episode. And I would like to welcome the sponsor for the month of February, Tapehead City, the online cassette tape store. If you're a cassette head like me, Tapehead City is a great place to get cassettes. You can search by genre: 90s indie rock, 80s alternative, new wave post-punk, metal, hardcore, punk, ska, reggae, experimental noise. The store runs the gamut. You can get merch for Tapehead Cities. You can buy blank cassette tapes. They have some Walkman available to purchase. They have merch. They have VHS stores. Currently, Tapehead City releases include Descendants, I Don't Want to Grow Up, and Milo Goes to College. Bad Religion Suffer, which is phenomenal. Refused, The Shape of Punk to Come, which I have. I love it. Grab yourself a cassette of that album. It's a classic. Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye, and so much more. So make sure you check out Tapehead City. I will leave a link in the show notes for our sponsor this month. Enjoy the recap of all the podcasts that aired in the month of January. Jump ahead in time. You're here to talk about cardboard sessions, but before that, you did cardboard snowboard, right?
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, just what was the inspiration and kind of thought process behind, like, let's make a snowboard out of cardboard?
Yeah. So we have a snowboard company right now called Signal Snowboards, and we've had that for 20 years. And in the middle of about 2009, we started this first YouTube show in snowboarding called Every Third Thursday. Mm-hmm. And Every Third Thursday was this opportunity for us to build and design something new every month and share it with the world. And this is before Instagram had Reels or TikTok was was available. It was basically just a hard post. So you would just share a photo or, maybe a little bit of a video clip. But YouTube was kind of where those things lived. And so we started this and it took off. And within a couple of years, this show got picked up by one of YouTube's production companies and Toyota. And it really helped us propel some of the ideas. And it just so happened that we came up with a cardboard snowboard idea with my neighbor who owns the biggest cardboard company at the time. He happened to be my neighbor in California. And the idea was let's build something that, if you were traveling, you could ride one day and then throw it in the recycling bin. It was just kind of a fun idea. Yeah. It was hilarious. It snapped in two. It's a great episode if you ever want to go back and watch it. But it inspired a conversation between Earnest Packaging and Signal to continue doing these cardboard designs and push sort of innovation in their world. Yeah. And, for me, I was good friends with the CEO and of course, I love to help if I can. Yeah. And then at the same time, they were able to open up a budget that allowed us to go work with really interesting people and call on cool engineers and, basically build fun products in our industry. So we started with a surfboard, and then we made a skateboard that famously Tony Hawk had ridden and just absolutely destroyed. It was so cool. Yeah, super cool. And then that led us to Fender. We have a friend there, Paul Waller, who is a master builder, and he helped us build that first cardboard Strat. That went viral on the internet, and from there it just kind of took off. We just started building more things and getting interested in completing the band, so to speak, and not even with the idea of dropping another series called, that ended up being Cardboard Sessions, but just to see if we could, could we make drums? Could we make a bass? We just kind of kept going. We're all having fun. And then the pandemic hits, and I'm watching all of these bands, my favorite bands, play these empty warehouse shows, live streaming for their fans. And I thought about these instruments just sitting in a warehouse, or in a storage unit. I thought, when this is over, I'm going to pull these out, dust them off, and get some friends to play them and pick up a show called Cardboard Sessions. So we did that. We called on my good friend John Theodore from Queens of the Stone Age. He brought in Isaiah Mitchell from Earthless. And we went into Gold Digger Studio, and that was the idea, right? Like to basically bring two people together that were real musicians, out in the world that we kind of all love and know, and let them just play and potentially see that spark between the musicians that we rarely get to see in a performance. Because in a performance, everything's been practiced and dialed in, and I don't know. It's always those moments when you go to a live show and the song they're playing, they do something different with it, or the vocalist hits a note they normally don't hit, that you're just like, oh, that was so epic, Yeah. So I kind of wanted to bring a little of that to our show. And I think we've done that a little bit.
You two have been in the band since its inception, but you're the only two members of the band who have been in the trajectory. How difficult has it been to kind of keep going as members come and go?
Yes, we're Methuselahs, I would say. Well, it's of course in such a long period, 25 years, and it's always difficult to keep the guys together, because everybody has different imaginations about what life should be in terms of jobs and maybe also in terms of music. Sometimes their tastes change. Sometimes it's a question of money, of course. So it's not always easy to keep the guys together, and I'm happy that we are now in our 40s and 50s, all the band members. So we're pretty much settled in life, and all the other guys, of course. And this is what makes everything easier, because nobody has to prove anything in terms of egos or something. So we have a great band chemistry now, also with the joining of guitarist Sven Sevens 3 years ago, and he already proved that on 2 headliner tours in the past 3 years. So we're looking forward. Hopefully this lineup will stay as long as anyhow possible.
Yeah. You guys have been a band for 25 years. How has writing evolved and changed? Obviously, now at this point, you two are comfortable with each other. You know what she can sing and, how you want to play. But how has it evolved and changed and matured?
Well, I think the writing process is still the same. I'm collecting ideas over a certain period of time and write them down and pile them up. And then when it's time to start a new album, I go through the ideas and have a look which ideas, which one is the first a good one to start with, to start the album, and then in this case, it was the Ghost Ship Diaries, which is also the opening track of the new album. And then it's always good because the first song somehow lays the foundation of the album in terms of stylistic approach. But this is pretty much the process as it was in the past 25 years. And the difficult period is then the arrangement process in the studio, when you really work on all the details and do programming for the demos and everything. So this is, of course, then the long period, the studio time. But this is also a time which makes incredible fun, of course, because there's the process of exploring and having a look for sounds, having a look for rhythmic grooves and everything. So this is still the exciting part of the business, I would say.
Let's talk about New Miserable Experience. At what point do you kind of shift into the space of I want to do something new, different, or even just like I want to do electronic music?
So this is kind of like it just happened because COVID, honestly, as initially, because COVID, there was just, so I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so I was essentially not working. So I had a lot of extra free time. And then Rosetta had started writing some new songs, but then that got put on hold because of COVID as well, right? So it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? Rosetta is not a file trade band. We're a get in a room and play with each other band.
Yeah.
So like, it just wasn't going to work. And so I had done a kind of Dillinger Escape Plan-esque record with my friend Josh, who's in New Miserable Experience with me, that Translation Loss had put out back in maybe 2010. And that was called Haikosin. And it's so it's like Dillinger Escape Plan-esque. And I've been friends with him forever. He actually was in a pre-Rosetta band with Armine called Mikado that was also on Translation Loss. Yeah, so we've known each other for forever. And I was just like, we've always talked about doing another project. So it was just kind of like, hey, we're locked in COVID, so let's do this. And then we asked a bunch of people, and none of those people really, they were either interested but then didn't do anything, or they just were like, not right now. Because again, everybody was a mess during COVID. And then we sort of settled on, well, I shouldn't say settled, but we were like, let's ask BJ. BJ makes sense, who's in Rosetta with me. And then we asked Brett, who's one of my longest time friends, who at the time was in revocation. But because of COVID, it was one of the rare times where he was home.
Yeah.
So it kind of just it started lining up for this to just kind of come together. And then the sound just kind of happened. We didn't actually know what we were going to originally do because again, we all come from doing heavy music.
Yeah.
And it just kind of was like, okay, Josh was like, I have all these musical ideas, and he kind of played it. And I was like, okay, well, lots of these things are not heavy music. So I was like, let's just start going from there and building from that. And it just kind of happened organically. And yeah, that's kind of how it kind of came together.
There's a quote in the press release that says, after Phenotype, the band felt obsolete. That kind of led to the breakup, or maybe a small view as to what led to the breakup. Was it just kind of an oversaturation of, I don't know, genty prog bands that led to that feeling of obsoleteness, or was it just like the struggle to find your place?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, some people say that Textures pioneered a lot of stuff, and then you see bands that have Textures as inspiration, and they they race you by. Yeah. Like Tesseract, Periphery, when we played our first shows together, they were looking up to us, and they by far surpassed us. Yeah. Which is really good for them. I'm really proud, good friends and all. but you just look around and say like, oh shit, man, we spent a lot of time on phenotype time, and we spent also a lot of time on the old ideas for genotype.
Yeah.
But we did kind of feel like, yeah, what are we saying? What do we still have to add to this musical pool that is being run over with great bands, and we're just like trying to barely hang on.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, we felt that way. Not everybody in the band had the same feeling. I didn't necessarily have that feeling. But yeah, I mean, the other part of it is just growing up. I don't have kids, but half the band at that time had their second child. I don't know if they like put it all in their agenda, like to make love to the wife at the same time or something. Like within a few months from each other, they all, like 3 of the 6 guys had their second child.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand it's difficult, being in a band in a environment that is so demanding. Mm-hmm. You see your plays on Spotify or your album sales or your fees you're getting for shows, and your management is saying like, well, actually we should squeeze in another tour, and the label saying, well, maybe we can do another album in a year and a half instead of 3, and you get all this pressure from the outside, and you're socially, you're like depleted, you're like, we're doing this for fun, aren't we? Because we never made any money. Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, we can cover the expenses, but I mean, I'm not rich.
You're not getting
none of the,
yeah.
I've many times calculated this, like over and over again, including inflation and stuff, but I would made like at least twice as much money working at a grocery store than I would have if I spent the same amount, I've spent on textures.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10 times as much. I don't know, but you understand what I mean. And so you have all these factors coming in. Like, we've done quite well as a band in the past. We've said almost everything we wanted to say. Our social lives are demanding. The industry is demanding. Maybe we should quit when we're ahead, when we're all still friends. And that's what we did. And I still look up to a lot of the bands that have surpassed it. It's really effing impressive to see what they've accomplished and how they've also cut loose from the genre. This damning gent word.
Yeah.
I appreciate in a way. It's really nice. We as people, we need to categorize and, give stuff we don't understand names, but it's also a label that's difficult to get away from.
You are here to talk about this brand new endeavor, Black to Black record.
Black to Black.
Black to Black.
Not the plastic head distribution label.
Yeah.
Black to Black. Who do put out some freaking amazing reissues.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I'm gonna probably beat my chest a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because I'm. We just announced this thing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's been, to me, it's a massive opportunity for me, for myself.
Yeah.
I for myself, for people I work with, for artists I'm working with. About 3 years ago, I was approached by a company based in Italy called Frontiers Records. And Frontiers is largely like a hard rock label based in Naples, Italy. That has built a sustainable business. On a very like it's very punk rock in my mind, because even though while they're putting out like White Snake Records.
Yeah, Striper.
Striper comes later, and we'll get into Striper.
Sure, yeah.
But why? Like they're doing their thing, and they're putting out melodic rock records, and that's their passion. And they're succeeding in a niche, that was underserved, and they've built a successful, sustainable business on that. A couple of years ago, they wanted me to do to basically jump in there with a metal label, and I said, okay, well, that's great, but I had just signed Orbiculture. Lawrence Shore was popping off, and I was about to sign Garia, and I just had a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah,
and it wasn't, and I couldn't really. I think I had just re-signed a contract as well, and it wasn't the time for it, and it wasn't. In retrospect, it wasn't the time for either of us to jump into it. Now, flash forward, a couple of years, and the ride at Century Media has been an amazing one. Again, great people, great bands, great friends. But it was also, the company was, labels change.
Yeah.
Particularly when majors are involved. And always not, and sometimes, for the better.
Yeah.
Right. It becomes. I think any person to any business, if you remain in the same place forever, then you lose. You don't become, you lose that vitality. So I think, basically they had to change. We accomplished a lot of great things between when the label was bought by Sony to now. But so I'll just say it's a great company. It just wasn't a great company for me anymore. But so I kind of made a decision. It was time to start looking around and figuring out what the next chapter is. I called the Frontiers people back, and in the meantime, they had established this label, Black to Black, BLK, Roman numeral 2, BLK, and signed. I don't know, a band you might have heard of called Megadeth, who I had worked with before. And as well as a band called Biohazard. You probably have heard of them too. And it was an incredible foundation. I will 1,000% give the credit to that to a guy named Tom Lipsky, who has been in business for years. He's run a label called CMC. He's kind of, he has worked with a lot of very established artists over many years. And he works for Frontiers now, and he did those signings. So I'm kind of looking at it going, this, first off, the Biohazard campaign looked really good. The record came out of the gate very strong. Yeah. Really, it's a great record. Exactly. And it showed me that they could that they really knew what they were doing in terms of marketing a band like that. The Megadeth campaign, which has been ongoing for months now, is as good a awareness and marketing campaign as you can ask for. So it showed me that they had the people, the know-how, and the willingness to flex. So I talked, so I called them back up and I said, hey, interested. And they're like, great, we're interested in you. I go, great. The next day I had a job offer.
What led you to wanting to be more lighter, positive? Was it just mental health and not wanting to just be so dark and gloomy all the time? Was it...
You know what? It weren't writing a feast, I'm sorry. It wasn't recording it. It was when I was doing press.
Oh.
I was like, God, fuck. And then meeting fans who is affected. And the hard thing is, it's like, okay, it means a lot that it's touched people and affected. Yeah. Bear in mind, we're not a massive band. We're not like your fucking Metallicas. And we're not. Yeah. So it's a bit mad for me. And people coming up and saying that, or sending me messages or emails or whatnot. And I'm like, I kind of didn't really know what to say, especially in person.
Yeah.
I never really knew what to say. And I was like, I can relate, but I don't know if I'm going to tell you what the right thing is. Yeah. So the amount, I used to just hug people and I'm like, and it's tough. And I just thought, I can't do this again for myself.
Yeah.
And I just want the songs when I'm, if I'm singing the Feast and Sorrow songs, I'm like, God, this lyrical section coming up, I'm dreading. And it got easier over time, much easier. And there's a reason 2 songs haven't been played on that album. 1, well, they're fucking long. And 2, they really touch, they're really on the nose of like, for me. And, I just don't think I could put myself through it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So what things were you drawing inspiration from lyrically then? Like what or feeling did you want to convey this time around? Because like, you're still a heavy band writing heavy songs and that doesn't necessarily come across as joyful, right?
Yeah. I think for me, it's like hope and, on loads of different things, like Be Not Dismayed. For me, it's like I was at a thing over here called Bloodstock Festival, and it's a real metal festival. And these young teenagers who must have been 12, 13 walked past me with their battle jackets, and they all had like new wave of British heavy metal bands on it, whatever, like Saxon, Diamond Head, like that sort of like Grand Magus that we just gone on tour with them, fucking Praying Mantis, old school new wave. And I just thought, fucking hell, I'd love to be those guys again.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was so. And you usually see kids wearing whatever Bad Omen shirts or whoever, but these kids they were like the new wave of British heavy metal. These like select bands, Saxon aside, who were big for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, and they were walking through a festival and I was like, it's like a religious thing.
Yeah.
And I remember going to see Slayer for the first time and walking in, the fear, the dread, just all these different things rushing over me. And Be Not Dismayed is that thing about we're here together and don't be afraid. There's a bit when it's like, don't be afraid when the lights go out. And I think people think it's probably more of a real clever thing. It's essentially when the lights go out at a gig. But the way I worded it and put it into the song, it's sort of like a cheesy thing. Like you would get on the first Metallica, Kill 'Em All, about banging the stage and that. But it's kind of like my view of that. And the spirit alive, the hope that there's just someone who can just change what's going on in the world. It's fucking... And then as Harken the Waves is a bit darker and Breathe is a bit darker, but it's also, there's the positive thing, the beauty, life that goes with it.
What then transitions into this record that's much more, I don't know, it's not acoustic instrument focused, but it's more clean singing, more experimental, more open, less like,
It's not a metal record, isn't it?
It's a different side of metal, right? Yeah. I mean, it's leaning into the progressive hard.
Yeah. Back in 2013, we were touring with the Dillinger SK Plan, and from that point on, in the review mirror, I thought we were trying to be hard to make hard music, to make weird music, to make difficult music. After that, we played the Euroblast Festival, the UK Tech Fest, and then we got into this pool of bands that are very heavy and genty and tech we played a festival called Techabilitation and stuff like that. And when I was starting to write this album, I thought maybe I should leave all that behind and not try to make this music that I thought in the review mirror we were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. It's not like that we thought we should write a particular style because that sells good or anything, but somehow I think in the review mirror we had this road where we were on, where we thought we should go, and this road started somewhere in 2013, right after our second album. Okay. And my idea was to go back to that point, to 2012, and see which other road the band could have taken from that point on. If this whole tech genty thing wouldn't have happened to us.
What was that then writing process looking like? I mean, I know it. When I talked to Moritz before, is like your band is very democratic, right? If 2 out of 3 agree on something, that's the road you go. Like, was there ever any battle or struggle as a band as to like, is this really the route and decision we want to go musically?
There have been many struggles, but not with this record, because I was asking my bandmates if I could make this record even if they don't have time for that, or if they don't see themselves at a situation in their lives where they want to write a Hirsch Effekt record. Mm-hmm. And I asked them if they were fine with me doing it on my own. So there were no discussion about the road. I just...
Okay.
Yeah. It also doesn't make sense at a certain point when you already realize there's actually like somebody's already taken a certain direction, and you know, like after 2-3 more songs that are maybe ready or they're in a demo mode, it's like at some point then also from the other side you would feel like any kind of interference would almost like maybe, you know, not help, but sort of like put stones in the way, because maybe you're aiming for something different, but then again, maybe it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then it's actually sometimes maybe even better to pull back.
Yeah.
Or take a more passive role.
You guys have kind of had the unfortunate, I don't know, reality of like, you know, being a band that like existed kind of a lot in lockdowns and through the pandemic, like releasing Unseen Relations in 2020, Eclipses 22 on the back end of that. So I'm sure recording that was a bit of a nightmare. How has it been, I think specifically this time around, where it's like, it's got to feel more normal this time, right, Ben?
Yeah. Like for the upcoming release for Fractured Minds, everything felt, as you said, like normal again. And I don't know, like whenever Timo finished a song and sent it into the group, back then in 2020, it was like, okay, we listened to that song, it's a pretty good song, nice. And then I can imagine maybe playing it in 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And now it's like the song is finished, let's play it tomorrow at the rehearsal. And then we play it and then we see, okay, very nice song, let's shoot a music video, and 1 month later release it, and then water for release, bam bam bam. So it's completely different compared to everything that we've done before.
Yeah You had the first band member change last year, bringing in a new guitar player. How was that experience for you guys?
Pretty good, actually. I mean, it's still a pity that our own guitarist had to leave the band for certain reasons whatsoever. But our new guitarist, David, he's always been the guitar tech for our Mirage for, I think, 3, 4, 5 years, so pretty long time. And he's used to everything we do on the concert days, like how everything is working. And he always has been super big support. And it was pretty obvious then after he started playing fill in for our old guitarist for 2 years as well. Yeah. Then it was a pretty short way after then the spot was free in the band, like asking him was the first instance that we had. And it was pretty natural that he had to join the band. And ever since has been a super nice support. He's pretty, he has a high knowledge in technology and all the quantum stuff and quad cortex and all the MIDI changes and everything. Like he's super versatile with that. And he's just a nice addition to the band, definitely.